Hi Adam, I have your piano and your hand here. Really, I'm just going to review the hand because I don't know what style and what make of piano this is. So let's just focus on the hand for now. Uh, and even that, I don't know quite what style and make it is. It's obviously an Adam hand, but uh, let's see, here we go. I'm just going to go through this and review kind of general construction things and anything that might be specific to your particular hand. I'm going to leave out. I'll just make general comments, and hopefully some of these will prove true on deeper inspection of your hand. Okay, so first, let's just look at the overall impression. And the overall impression for me is pretty good. I think it all holds together really well. I feel like the whole thenar eminence is a little bit too pronounced, or that there's a little bit too much kind of happening in here. Okay, so specifically I'm talking about kind of some of these separations in here. And maybe this happens when you play the piano, but I think it might just calm down a tiny bit. I do like it looking constructionally, but I think it just kind of is a touch too much. And the big one that I kind of look at and wonder about is this guy, the adductor, right? Because really what happens is the adductor goes deep to the flexor tendons, right? It ends up inserting in here, or originating in here, and inserts onto the thumb, but it gets lashed down by this flexor tendon of the second digit. So for most people, this bit in here is slightly attenuated, and so you only see kind of the bulge coming out to here, and then it starts to kind of pass deep to these tendons. Okay, observe again for yourself and see if that holds true for your hand. I mean, it's within the realm of possibilities that your hand could do that. I just don't see it very frequently, so that's why I'm making this little comment, and it just kind of calms this down a little bit in here. Okay, and then next thing is to look at these masses, right? So you have the what's known as the hypothenar mass out here, which is a collection of all these muscles, and certainly there's a lot of kind of wrinkles and things that sit on top of the muscular masses, but I think the muscular masses are the more prominent volume. And the thing that you get very specifically when you're kind of flexing your pinky down like this, or when you're getting ready to grip something, is you get a big kind of depression here, which is from the palmaris brevis, right? We talked about the palmaris longus coming down into the middle of the hand. Palmaris brevis sits out here it actually sits in the middle of the hand and inserts onto the hypothenar mass out on the skin, right? And this ends up being a pretty consistent little depression out here, right? Which is where kind of the muscle grabs onto. And so it creates a more unified divot than what you've kind of indicated. And so again, I'm just speaking generally because your hand could show some distinct individual variation, but overall I got a feeling that some of these forms were too big for what they would be in relation to just from skin wrinkles. So I'd say you have to reestablish the main volumes and then go in and put smaller wrinkles like that on top. Okay, last thing relates to the extensor tendons. And I get the feeling, and this is just again kind of a generalization, that these are too narrow for most adult males' hands, right? So I feel like this is probably a little bit broader and with a little bit of fall off on the sides, right? So because it's pulling up the skin, it's puckering up the skin. Right, so I'm just really kind of laying these off. It looks like they're just kind of laid over the surface right now. So just kind of filling in the sides with the very light clay tubes. Okay, and that might just thicken them a little bit. Right, so I mean we're talking maybe fractionally, 25% thicker, or maybe a third thicker. But then the second kind of comment relates to how far down the first phalanx they go. And you're starting to see the tendon pulling all the way up to here, but really this starts to wrap into just a more complicated network of tendinous fibers out here as they kind of envelop the knuckles. Right, so all this kind of gets lashed down quite heavily past about the halfway up the first phalanx. Again, there's differences certainly between individuals, but as a rule, you don't really see the extensor tendon go all the way up to the knuckle, because all this kind of does really interesting, complicated things as it gets to this second knuckle. Okay, and then we'll have a look over here. I feel like there might be a little undue depression here, because remember, this is radius sitting in here, so this is going to be fairly bony and a fairly unified mass, or radius here, and out to the ulna wedging onto the side, right? So this is all unified mass. Anatomical snuff box looks okay. A little fall off on this tendon as well. And first dorsal interosseous looks pretty good. Remember, this is coming down and slotting in here. I feel like it might just be a little bit short to come down to actually attach onto this first metacarpal, right, and just sit in the pocket between the metacarpals. I feel like it might come down to right about there. Okay, I think that is about it. Overall, the impression of the proportions of the fingers and the joints are good, which is really important, obviously, for getting this to construct and look natural as they bend. Let's see if I see anything else. I think I've already talked about the major points. So again, assess this against what your hands are actually doing, because I speak kind of just purely constructionally right now. Okay, and let me know if I'm absolutely off base with any of these things, and then send a picture. Okay, thanks, Adam. Nice work.